Hello my friends, I am Dima, and on today's video we're going all in on Bitcoin. We're going to answer all of the most common questions about Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? How do you buy Bitcoin safely and securely? Is it too late? Have you missed the Bitcoin party? And I'm going to tell you why I was a huge naysayer and skeptic of Bitcoin, but why I have turned completely around and now I'm a big believer. Let's go. Hey, what's up you guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking all about Bitcoin. Now, quick disclaimer guys, I am not a financial advisor, but I have done so much research on it recently because before I was a huge naysayer and I was a big skeptic of Bitcoin. But starting earlier this year, around January-ish, I really started to think about, with everything that's going on in the country and in the world, what is something that is going to really take off and be the next big thing? Well, what I came up with is that Bitcoin really to me is something that was worth investigating. And so I started doing research on it. I started looking at it. And today I'm going to answer some of those most common beginner Bitcoin questions. But also if you're already a seasoned pro with Bitcoin, you've been investing for a while, I think you'll still get a ton of value from this video. Now guys, you might hear my voice a little bit different today. I've been battling a little bit of a cold, just a regular cold, you know, those still exist, but I'm on the tail end of it, so I'm excited to get through this. Anyhow guys, let's dive right in. So as I mentioned, I was such a huge naysayer and skeptic of Bitcoin for the longest time. I remember years ago, one of my best friends was buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and telling me that I should get in. I started researching it, and at that point, based upon the information that I had available to me, I really felt like this was not a good investment. I thought it could go to zero. All of the reasons actually that I thought it was a bad thing to buy are actually reasons why it's amazing. Back then, I was a huge skeptic and I thought, hey, this thing is going to go to zero. It's worthless. It's got no backing. There's no company backing it. It's not a stock. It's not regulated. It's not backed by any currency. Maybe all of the same things that you've thought about Bitcoin. So you guys, the first thing that I want to introduce to you is actually where I started my Bitcoin research journey. I got introduced recently to a guy named Corey Clipston, the CEO of Swan Bitcoin, which I will talk about later on in the video. And he gave me a free book called Inventing Bitcoin. Now this book really opened my eyes to the possibility of Bitcoin, what it is, what it could be, and why it was something that was valuable to purchase. And so for you guys, I have a link down below where you could take advantage and grab your own free copy of Inventing Bitcoin. I highly recommend that you do that, so don't take my word for it. Check out what other people and what the experts have to say. That, for me, would really be step one. Now let's talk about some of the economics behind Bitcoin and why I'm now such a big believer. So guys, the first thing, as you may have already heard, is that today, as of recording this video, Bitcoin has hit $1 trillion in market cap. So what does that actually mean? Well, Bitcoin has a finite supply. There are only 21 million Bitcoin that can ever be in circulation. I believe as of now, about 19 of those 21 million Bitcoin have already been mined. So we're almost to the end of the supply. And a lot of people are really saying that there just is not enough Bitcoin to go around. You've probably heard that recently companies like Tesla and Elon Musk have started buying Bitcoin as a company. That is a really interesting thing. See, they're storing their money, their cash, in Bitcoin as opposed to keeping it in cash on their books. Now you guys, one of the main reasons that I am now such a big fan and proponent of Bitcoin is that fiat currency, or the US dollar, continues to deflate in price. I believe we're going to see inflation if we're not already seeing it, because the United States has printed so much money recently. Check this out, you guys. This is the M1 money supply in circulation. Starting in about 2010, the amount of money being printed escalated a little bit, but that was nothing like what happened in 2020, starting, of course, around the pandemic. Look at how much money has been printed. In fact, they say over 40% of the money currently in circulation was printed since 2020. That's going to continue in 2021, and as that continues, inflation is going to start to rear its ugly head in the US. Now, guys, when we have inflation, people look to hedge inflation with certain assets. Historically, we're talking about assets like gold, we're talking about assets like real estate. And now, guys, I think you have to throw Bitcoin into the mix as one of the best hedges against inflation because, as I mentioned earlier on the video, all the reasons that I didn't like Bitcoin earlier are all the reasons why it's actually such a great store of value. So are you convinced yet? Do you believe in Bitcoin like I believe in Bitcoin? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below what you think based upon some of the research that we've been doing. Now, on top of Tesla, you guys, so many other companies and so many other funds and other individuals in the financial industry are now saying that they're going to start dabbling in Bitcoin, they're going to start buying Bitcoin. If that happens on a big scale, what you're going to see because of the limited supply, again, just like in real estate, it's all about supply and demand. Because of that limited supply, what you're going to see is the price continue to go up. Now, as I'm filming this video today, Bitcoin is incredibly at $54,000. So one of the questions you might be asking yourself is it too late? Did I miss the party? Should I still start buying Bitcoin? Now, based upon all of the projections that I am seeing, the limited supply, the amount of money the US is printing, the inflation that we are likely to see, I actually believe that the growth curve of Bitcoin is just getting started. And again, you guys, all of the reasons that I initially thought it wasn't a good thing to buy are all of the reasons that it actually is. As far as a store of value, it's fantastic. It's not regulated. No country, no government, no one can really step in and print more of it, devalue it, or anything like that. You also control your Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. If you want to, you can obviously store it in places or you can have your own control. So banks cannot do anything with your Bitcoin. So for all of these reasons, with where the world is going, with what's going on not only in the US, but worldwide, I, again, am now a big believer, and Bitcoin will be a big part of my investing strategy going forward. Now, having said that, let's talk about another big question, which is how do you buy Bitcoin safely and securely? Now, as I mentioned earlier, I interviewed Corey of Swan Bitcoin. He's the CEO, and his company has created a program that makes it really easy to buy Bitcoin. And in full transparency, guys, what I did after I interviewed Corey is I decided, hey, I want to check this out. So I opened up an account at Swan. And now the way Swan Bitcoin works, guys, which I believe is really cool because I think timing the market, timing Bitcoin, first of all, it's going to drive you crazy because it trades 24/7. And so with Swan Bitcoin, you sign up, you pick a plan, you pick a number, however much you want to buy, daily, weekly, or monthly, and Swan will execute those trades for you automatically. So in full transparency, guys, after I interviewed Corey, I went in, created an account, started putting some money in, and I have to tell you, man, I wish I would have bought more because when I started buying Bitcoin with Swan, I believe it was at around 35,000 per coin, and now, of course, we're hovering at 54,000 per coin. So when you go in and open an account using the link I have down below, you will actually get $10 of free Bitcoin. So go grab that. Now let's talk about the secure part. So one of the big questions that I've gotten and that I know people are thinking, that I was also thinking, is how is this secure? I've heard of people losing their Bitcoin, losing their key, and then they can never recover their Bitcoin. So the cool thing about Bitcoin, guys, is that you can actually store it yourself, but you don't have to. What I've learned by researching and reading articles actually on Swan's site is that Swan will store your Bitcoin with a trust, and you could just leave it there, which is totally fine. However, they also recommend that you move it to your own digital wallet. There are a lot of different forms of that. There's a paper wallet where you just write down a bunch of things. I probably wouldn't do that. There's also devices you can buy that will store it and securely allow you to unlock it. And then there's additional multi-signature encrypted ways where you can store your Bitcoin. So what I will tell you is that for now, I've just been storing it with the trust that Swan has. As I accumulate more of it, I will move to my own digital wallet for sure because I want to store that safely and securely and have my own access to my own money, which really, if you think about, guys, you don't even have if you're at the bank or the security deposit. You're always relying on someone else. But with Bitcoin, the cool thing is you control your own wealth, which is one of the main reasons that I love this asset. So to me, as I mentioned, Bitcoin is definitely something that's going to be a major part of my investing strategy. Is it going to be 100% of what I put in? Of course not, but it's definitely going to play a bigger role than it has in the past. And I'd love to hear what you think. Did I miss anything? Is there anything that I didn't talk about with Bitcoin that you want to know? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know, are you convinced? Are you going to add Bitcoin to your investment strategy? Hopefully by the next video, my voice will be better, this cold will be gone, and we can have a lot more fun. But I want to thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on your favorite social media channel. All the links are down below. Get that $10 of free Bitcoin. And if you don't do anything else from this video, at least grab that free book, read Inventing Bitcoin, and decide for yourself whether this is something that you want to add to your investment strategy this year and for years to come. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you on the next video.